What's up, guys? It's Double Zug. So I know we're all kind of like bored just waiting for launch to happen. So I figured I'd do a really quick video just giving some leveling tips specific to healers. So if you've like, if you're super prepared, this isn't going to be any super new information. This is more for healers who maybe you hit max level super recently. Maybe you didn't have time to like farm or really the interest to farm gear for your DPS or tank spec for leveling. So there's a couple of things here. First of all, obviously Mists of Pandaria only has one starting zone, which is different from Wrath and Cataclysm, which had two starting zones, which kind of split the player base up, made it a little bit less congested. Although, if you did Vashj'ir on launch, definitely did not feel like there were two launch zones, honestly. And Jade Forest, it's going to be sharded, layered to hell and back, right? There's going to be like a million layers. It shouldn't be too congested if you do just want to quest. And just questing is really not that bad at all. And as like a full solo player who isn't like super prepared, super sweaty, just questing through every zone is going to be your fastest way to level probably, and doing, every dungeon once just for quests. But there's a couple of things here. Jade Forest is pretty slow. Like Horde starts up here, Alliance starts down here. You do a little quest chain. The first few quests are not super slow, but there's a lot of like RP stuff. You have to like follow the panda around while he tells you the tale of his people. And then there's all these like RP quests where you do these weird sniping mini games and like all these weird mini games where you like pilot like a vehicle player and stuff. And they're just slow and not the greatest quests, honestly. A lot of the quests in the rest of the zones are like super cool and fun. And I do think it's worth going through the whole quest chain at least once, just because like the story's actually decent and it's just like well designed questing in my view. But for speed, I would definitely try to skip Jade Forest. If you get to 86, you can just go to Valley of the Four Winds, and then you can start doing your farm, get everything started there. The quests here, good experience and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what I'd prioritize. There's a couple of ways to do this, obviously. First of all, you can just chain queue random dungeon finder. If you have any friends who are playing, if you're not fully solo, this is what I would recommend doing. Even if it's a little bit less efficient, playing with your friends, like the fun you gain there, if you're going to be full sweating, like, if you're watching this video, you're probably going to be no-lifing launch. So play with your friends. It's more fun. It's worth a little sacrifice and efficiency. Also, if you are chaining random dungeon finder, one thing I'd definitely recommend, especially if you're going to be queuing as healer, is if you luck into a good group, like if you get into a good group and the tank is pulling aggressively, or the DPS are just really cranking, be social. Don't be autistic. Talk in chat and say, do you guys want to requeue? And do this before the end of the dungeon, because if you wait until the end of the dungeon, people are just going to instantly leave on reflex. So before the end of the dungeon, say we're cranking, we should requeue, because as a healer, you don't have like the damage contribution, so you can't really, unless you do like the super Giga Chad thing, where like in leveling dungeons you run ahead of the tank and pull all the mobs together. But people hate that, so don't do that unless you want to get kicked and get a deserter buff. So yeah, if you find a really efficient group, you can literally double or triple your XP gains per hour. From just full solo queuing RDF if you stick with that group and keep queuing with them. And all it takes is just, typing in chat one time like, hey, please queue with me. I need help or whatever. Just say that and people will queue with you. So that's my suggestion. Obviously, if you have friends who can tank and DPS, that's better because it'll be more fun. But hey, this is classic, right? It's about the journey. It's about being in vanilla WoW and making friends and like Wailing Caverns or whatever. You can do the same thing in MoP. Just be talkative and chat. The other thing you can do is solo Stormstout Brewery. If you have a tank spec, you obviously need to get some tank gear. However, there's some vendors that you can use to get 372 greens right away. So if you like a Holy Paladin, you only have Holy Pally gear, you want to quest as Ret, or you want to like try to maybe do some monkey runs as Prot, there's a vendor that you can get access to after the first few quests in Jade Forest. That's like in the main, I think it's like the second little town outpost thing you unlock, but it's phased, so you can't get to it. But in the middle, I'm actually going to go to the this thing. So in the middle here on Dawn's Blossom, like by the bridge, there's a little panda guy that will sell all that gear to you. In the entrance to Valley of Four Winds, there's another vendor. There's also a vendor in Kunlai, like in the very first town you get to out of the tunnel, that I think sells a little bit higher eye level. And then there's another one in Townlong in the first town. So all of the first towns will have vendors. So wherever you stop queuing RDF to go quest, if you don't have that DPS or tank gear, you can just go to one of those vendors and just literally buy a full set of gear for whatever spec you want to play. And if you are like literally just the Holy Paladin, you can either just group up for the first few quests and just like, leech off of the DPS and tank players who are going to kill all the mobs for you, or you can just run straight to Dawn's Blossom, buy that gear, then go back and do the quests. Either way, probably grouping up and being a leech is going to be more efficient there. One other thing, if you're going to be queuing RDF, is that the Stormstout Brewery is probably going to be worth to, obviously you want to queue once for every dungeon, even Jade Serpent, to get the quests. And those quests will give you access to like some high level blue items, which are quite strong. But once you can specific queue Stormstout, I think it's probably worth just specific queuing, giving up the like completion bonus, because Stormstout just has a lot more mobs than Jade Serpent rather. So that's what I'd recommend. And definitely consider when you're 86, you can go Valley of the Four Winds, unlock your farm, do some questing here. Or whenever you unlock Kunlai, you can go to Kunlai. Once you get to Kunlai, I would definitely recommend doing at least some questing. And probably your best option, especially if you're solo, is potentially skip Jade Forest and then just quest from Valley through Kunlai all the way through Townlong Dread Wastes, because you're going to get a lot of rep from all these places that you're going to have to get anyways, especially Dread Wastes. But honestly, all these reps, like if you just quest through here, you're going to be good enough on your rep. You don't have to worry about it too much. Honestly, I wouldn't really worry too much about the rep stuff anyways, just because MSV is a pretty easy raid. And your pre-bis is just going to be like getting 2 conquest pieces, getting some honor gear to fill in your gaps, running some heroics. A lot of it's just crafted stuff like your Darkmoon card, world drops. And once you do get into MSV, you can clear MSV. It's not a super hard raid. And then you're going to get some pieces from the raid. And then whatever you want to get for your reps is going to change a little bit, right? Because you're going to be wanting to fill in your MP slots instead of getting like the fully optimal item for the most part. So again, questing through these 4 reps is really, really good and will save you time and headache. You can get, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, rep and XP. When it comes to what to do once you hit max level, I would say if the honor vendors are available, I assume they are going to be available from the rip. Farming honor gear, if you don't have your eye level to queue heroics, is going to be really good. Doing walk-ins is going to be fine. You can check, I have some like preliminary pre-bis lists on the spreadsheets posted on like the last page of the spreadsheets. I'll be doing videos on pre-bis. There actually are some really good honor pieces for some of the healers that are like close pre-bis, or sometimes actually pre-bis despite the eye level loss. So it actually is a decent strategy to just farm some PvP gear, especially once the conquest gear comes out. You definitely want to be farming your 4,000 conquest points, but you can't do that obviously until right before the raid launches. But honor gear you can farm. And especially if you don't have like a team to do walk-in heroics with, just getting some PvP out of the way if you don't want to level an alt or something like that can get you some decent eye level pieces. Also, when you're looking at these pre-bis lists and they're showing all these like 0.3% drop rate weapons and stuff like that, you're not getting a weapon out of heroics. Just like don't even think about that honestly, unless you literally have infinite time and like playing WoW is your job. Farming heroics for those epic weapons is just not going to be worth your time in any way. So don't worry about that. Just get a blue weapon. The 2-handers and the 1-handers are very close. So, just get any weapon and don't worry too much about it. Honestly, that's my opinion. Also, when it comes to world drops and crafted stuff for healers, it differs for different specs, but a lot of specs, the like world drops and the crafted stuff, if they don't have like your stats on them, a lot of times the eye level isn't even that much of an upgrade. So you don't really have to worry about them too much. Darkmoon card is, though, very big for all the healers. So if you have the gold, buy Darkmoon card. If you don't have the gold for Yu'lon, you can buy Chi-Ji, and it's going to be close to as good, especially if you don't have Alchemist Stone. Chi-Ji is going to be big upgrade over your second best dungeon trinket for basically every healer. So it can be useful to, like, literally, if you're max level, it's better to farm gold to buy a Darkmoon card than it is to farm heroics to get the 0.3% chance for your epic weapon. But that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about gear here. So I'll come up with some videos as we get closer to the raid launch about pre-bis and stuff like that. So that's my leveling spiel. Hopefully you learned something. Not a lot of like crazy info here, just basic stuff, but we're doing our best. We're bored. We're making a video to kill some time before launch. Anyways, see you guys in Jade Forest. Good luck leveling. See ya.